Welcome back to my Mario Kart ranking series. The final game we will be talking about before 8 Deluxe is Mario Kart 7, which is one of the more forgettable entries in the franchise. This is a game that introduced many mechanics like the glider attached to your vehicle, driving underwater, and the ability to drive first person view, which I never played that way and never will again. And finally, being able to fully customize your kart, which many parts you have to unlock first. I personally think it's a bit complicated for newcomers to know the best vehicle combinations, but I am glad Nintendo gave everyone the freedom to choose how they want to play. I've always enjoyed this game, but the lack of versus mode makes the game feel incomplete. The new characters themselves are a bit of a mixed bag. I don't mind Metal Mario and Wiggler being added, but characters like Honey Queen were very unnecessary additions, and it's kinda strange that Waluigi is not in this game. I think that's why I don't think this game sticks out compared to the other games, which is unfortunate because this game has really good tracks. The nitros are great, but the retros, oh my goodness, they are amazing. Even though the Booster Course Pass has more retros, they have some stinkers, while this game, at worst, is okay. They picked the best tracks from other games, but also gave spotlights to less well-known tracks, which is awesome. I think we can get started. We will be starting with the C tier. That's right, no bad tracks in this game, but there are ones that I find are mediocre. Let's go. 32. N64 Luigi Raceway. This is the only game I had trouble deciding which course comes in last. I was thinking of picking the next track I will be talking next, but it wasn't as bad as I expected, so ultimately I decided to go for a retro track that does the bare minimum. This is not a bad track by any means. They kept the Luigi balloon and they added a platform with boost panels on the side, which isn't any faster. Part of the reason why I kinda enjoyed the original was to practice my drifts, and in this one, it's not that exciting. Once again, it's not that bad, and I never get bored of it. There are way better tracks than this. 31. Cheep Cheep Lagoon. Yeah, this is easily my least favorite nitro track from this game. This course's only purpose is to introduce underwater mechanics. You can trick off the seashells and seaweeds, then you go into the cave and there are two options you can go, whether it's the gliding path or going underwater. Kinda neat, but it's a really forgettable track for being how short it is. Come on Nintendo, you know you can introduce something while also making it fun, right? 30. Toad Circuit. This is definitely one of the tracks of all time. It has a layout, a gliding ramp, and a shortcut you can take. Truly exciting stuff. Jokes aside, I make fun of this track because it's the lamest choice Nintendo could have brought into a Booster Course Pass. Well, the graphics are nice, and those tow balloons sure are big. What else is there to say? I guess it's one of the better starter tracks, but that's not saying much anyway. It does the job of introducing people into the game. 29. GBA Bowser Castle 1. Really Nintendo? Are you seriously gonna disrespect Super Circuit by only including one track? You know there are other tracks you could have greatly improved upon, but oh no, we have to remake another Bowser Castle track. This is the simplest layout of the Bowser Castles, but it turns into boosts for each jump, and a gliding ramp pops up eventually. So it's definitely an improvement, but man, we could have had a better track, especially considering Nintendo brought back the best tracks. 28. Bowser's Castle. Yes, I'm putting a Nitro Bowser Castle track that low. The first time I played this track, I was very underwhelmed, and the reason for it is that there isn't anything that stands out. It has good ideas, but they're not well executed. There are two ways you can enter the castle, which is nice, and then you go to the rolling barrel for a second. Okay. You go underwater and then there are lava geysers for some reason flowing. What? It makes no sense. And finally, you go outside going over gaps and end on the gliding section. To be honest, that's probably the best part of the track, but it's not enough to save this course. It's a mess for a Bowser's Castle track, and it's a shame since the game has a strong selection of tracks. 27. Daisy Hills. It's fine, I guess. The theme here is good, and I like that there's hidden shortcut to go through, but otherwise the layout is a bit boring, with too many wide turns. But the sheep are nice obstacles. I wouldn't mind if it comes back, but I'm not missing much. 26. Rosalina's Ice World. So they recently brought this track back in the Booster Course Pass, which surprised me since I don't think the original version isn't any special to me. It was kind of complicated for me to rate. On the one hand, I think the track layout is fine, and I really like the dreaded piano of this song, but I feel like this track was a missed opportunity for cooler things. Since it's named after Rosalina, why couldn't they use those domes for something? Would have made the theming better. Overall, it's another forgettable Nitro track from this game. Or was, in this case. That's all of the C tier, now on to the B tier. 25. Wii Koopa Cape. I loved how Nintendo picked the best Wii tracks for this game, but unfortunately, all of them ended up being worse, and the one that hurt the most is Koopa Cape. Yeah, originally I was gonna put this in the C tier because they ruined the underwater pipe section by flooding the entire thing, removing those zappers, and replacing with them cheaps? Seriously, Nintendo? Why? It just leaves a bad feeling when I finish the track, but I didn't put it at C tier because the charm is still there, like the signs and the color pops. They put a pointless glider ramp right before the river, but that's fine. All in all, disappointing but not too disappointing. 24. SNES Mario Circuit 2. Oh hey, they brought back my favorite SNES track. This is a properly done remake by not changing the layout and adding a glider ramp on what used to be the jump pad, which makes total sense. And they added a long ramp on the side to gain extra airtime, which is crazy how Nintendo added such a broken shortcut. Either way, it's a solid track. 23. Shy Guy Bazaar. This is easily my favorite of the Mushroom Cop, which is not saying much, and I gotta say the theme really carries the course. We haven't had an Arabian themed course, and it looks really nice. There are snake jars and Shy Guys on a flying carpet, and the music is pretty distinct. The gameplay on the other hand, well, it's not too special. It doesn't have the most complex layout, which is one of the reasons why I forget this track sometimes. I like it for this track to come back, though I'd rather want the same thing done in a different layout. 22. Wii Mushroom Gorge. This track has the same vibes as the original, only this time they introduced the blue mushroom, which if you bounce, your cart pulls out the glider, which is cool but not what I liked about the original. The thing I loved was how bouncy these mushrooms are, and unfortunately with 7th engine, it doesn't feel the same. I still enjoy this course a lot, but it doesn't compare to the original. 21. DS DK Path. Now this isn't a fan favorite among the community, but it was a solid track to bring back, even if it's kinda forgettable. Not a whole lot has changed other than adding a blizzard to the beginning part and the glider ramp before the snowman section. It's the textbook definition of a good enough remake. 20. Rock Mountain, or Alpine Path. This course really utilizes the glider mechanics very well. You learn how to control going left and right, or go to the pipes where it blows air to gain more airtime. It showcases very well, and I like the steep mountain at the end, where you dodge boulders. So what's wrong with the course? Well, it really comes down to the theming, to be honest. It's not bad, it's nothing particularly exciting, and yet again it's not that memorable with its gameplay and music. I always have a good time, but it's forgettable, unfortunately. 19. N64 Calamari Desert. I've always enjoyed this course in the original, and I like it here as well. The only changes they made were the inclusion of multiple gliding ramps at the side and a couple of ramps you can take. That's really all the changes they need to make. Though it's unfortunate you can't take the tunnel in the original, but who cares? They did that for the next game. Anyway, a solid enough course, but not particularly mind-blowing. 18. N64 Koopa Beach. Wait, where's the Troopa part? Ah, whatever. This track was perfect for this game to be remade. With the underwater mechanics, you're encouraged to go under to collect coins. To go through the tunnel shortcut, you have to have a mushroom to go on to the glider ramp, which feels more satisfying than just using a boring ramp. You can also take the gliding ramp to go over the rock, which was kind of pointless in the original. These changes made the track more dynamic, and I love that. 17. GCN Dino Dino Jungle. I wasn't the biggest fan of the original iteration of course, but this one is much better because 3DS has better controls. You can trick off the geysers and tree logs now, but the best change was the addition of gliding ramp in the cave and one going out of the cave. Being able to fly over the dinosaur is very cool, and it definitely enhances the track. That concludes the B tier, and we're moving on to the A tier. But before that, we must talk about battle mode. If I'm being honest, it's only a little better than Wii, since you're not forced to play with teams. Unfortunately, there are other problems, like the time limit, and in Coin Runners, you're only able to hold up to 10 coins, which is kinda stupid. What makes this mode forgettable are the track selections. They're not bad per se, except one, but they don't quite stand out. The worst one is Sherbet Rink. I think this might be the worst battle map I've played so far. I hate the icy physics, and it's very uncomfortable to drive on, and I forgot its existence to be honest. Next is GBA Battle Course 1. It's the definition of a battle course. I almost made a mistake writing SNES instead of GBA in my script, which is pretty bad. I'll say the layout doesn't frustrate me, and the music is good. Next is N64 Big Donut. I never played the original, but I thought that map looked too big for 4 players. However, this one makes it better by adding gliding ramps to go to the other side of the map. Then we have DS Palm Shores. Being able to go underwater without slowing down makes it so much better, and the beach looks nice as well. Our runner-up is Honeybee Hive. Now we get into the good stuff. I really like the aesthetics of this map with the honey slowing you down, and if you take the pipe with the strong air, it'll make you fly and land on random parts of the map, which is so fun. Best one easily though is Woohoo Town. Is anybody surprised? A Wii Sports Resort track is always a win. There are lots of places to hide and juke someone out, and I like that it's night compared to the other Woohoo tracks. So yeah, aside from 2 maps, they're fairly enjoyable to play. 16. Mario Circuit. This is my favorite Mario Circuit in all of Mario Kart. First off, just look how gorgeous it is. There are Sakura pelts on the ground with some great landscape. You get to bounce on a mushroom and go into Peach's castle, which I've been waiting for so long, and I'm glad I got to experience that. There are also pipes with air and a big pipe that you can trick off of. It's everything I wanted out of a Mario Circuit track. One that I don't mind seeing it come back. 15. SNES Rainbow Road. Now this was a great pick for the last retro track, and it's very faithful to the original. I like how the track is just at the right difficulty, because in the original, you were able to fall off easily since the game did not mess around. The music is still magical, and the forms are able to do shockwaves, though they're really small. I wish it had a larger wave so that I can feel it, but other than that, a great SNES remake. 14. Neo Bowser City. So this is apparently the most divisive track for this game. Some people love it and some people hate it, and I'm on the side of loving it. It's honestly refreshing how we have a Bowser track that doesn't take place in a castle, and instead, we're in a futuristic setting. Even though the only obstacle are the puddles, I find it satisfying to just drift around in the rain. Simple tracks aren't bad if they're done right. Oh yeah, and the music is very cool as well. 13. DK Jungle. This is yet another great DK track. The course starts off with the jungle itself, but once you enter the Tiki section, it becomes its own identity. Although I never played Donkey Kong Country games, I love all the elements they included. Other than the Tiki section, there's a bouncy flower, tons of rams, gliding through the angry rock dudes, and of course, the temple of the great banana. Oh, that banana looks gorgeous. It's a solid track overall. 12. Wii Coconut Mall. While this track is a huge downgrade to the original, I think it still has the magic of the original. Yeah, the parking lot got nerfed to 2 cars, and they point directions on the escalators, but that's not a big deal. My biggest issue with the course though is the background. It somehow looks more lifeless than the Wii. Where are the Mii's in the background? You have them in GC and Daisy Cruiser. Did they just move out or something? I don't know. It's fine that they couldn't add other details like the spinning ball that says Coconut Mall due to technical limitations, but the color palette looks really drab, which is not good. Despite all that, I do like the gliding ramps and they fit well for this game. Still a really fun track, but definitely not as fun as the original. 11. Piranha Plant Slide. Oh man, what a cool track to drive through. This track is inspired by those underground Mario Brothers levels, and it uses these elements very well. Going through the river dodging piranha plants and Goombas will never not be fun, and the underwater section is handled pretty well. Though my favorite part of the track is using the glider to go above the castle to get a coin is super fun as well, even though it's not faster, but who cares. 10. DS Luigi's Mansion. This track has made several improvements, but also a couple of downgrades. On the plus side, I think the gameplay is much better. The mud section isn't as slidey as the original, and you can trick off once you enter the mansion. The unique portraits are gone, but they were replaced with boo animations, so I'm fine with that. The biggest problem for me though is the aesthetics. It's not quite as ominous as the original. The walking tree in particular looked a bit creepy, but now it's less dark, which is a bit disappointing. Still doesn't take my enjoyment out of the course though. 9. Wii U Maple Tree Way. For me, Maple Tree Way is probably the one that's least ruined, having the same vibe as the original. It's still gorgeous looking and I can actually enjoy some of the landscape since it's easier than the original. Now obviously they couldn't have had the half pipe and they replaced the jack-off bridge with a gliding ramp, which is a bit unfortunate, but it does allow you to choose where you want to go, which is nice. Also, I find it funny that you can play Wiggler next to a big Wiggler. 8. Woohoo Loop. I never thought Nintendo would make a Wii Sports Resort track, but they did, and it's awesome. This is technically the first crossover track, and it's so exciting to recognize each location. This is also the first time they took a full loop and divided it into 3 sections, which yeah, that makes sense because I wouldn't want to go around 2 more times and be exhausted. There's a number of cars and trucks to dodge, and there's a hidden glider shortcut in the ruins, which is cool. The only shortcut I don't like is the 3 columns that take place after the ruins. It feels weird to drive on and not worth it. Otherwise, it's a great adventurous track. 7. Wario's Shipyard. This has got to be the most under-talked track in the game. I mean, you're driving through a sunken ship. How cool is that? You've got fish bones swimming around and have some anchors to dodge. They really commit to that theme, and they did it really well. This is a course that should have been brought back to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe because that section where you have 2 paths to take, that's basically asking Nintendo to put anti-gravity there. But oh no, we had to bring back Rosalina's Ice World, which is not the worst choice, but come on, you had this course right there. Oh well, still doesn't change the fact that it's a great time. 6. Maka Woohoo. Man, it's so great that we got not only 1, but 2 Woohoo tracks in the game. I just love how we get to explore another part of Woohoo Island by driving up the mountain, which is better than staying on the ground floor the entire time. You start off on the ground tricking multiple bumps, and then you enter the cave in and out to go to the section with a lake and a castle. For some reason, I never take the hidden shortcut even though I know it. Anyway, lap 3 is easily my favorite since you're almost at the top dodging boulders, and once you get to the top, you get to do the big jump and holy shit, it's awesome to glide through. The sunset is so beautiful and you can choose to go take the platform or ramp on the right side. I always take the platform since it's cooler and then you're finished, ending it off in a roundabout. It makes the journey so worth it, though what prevents me from putting in the S tier is the missed opportunity to not go inside the volcano since that was one of the coolest parts of Wii Sports Resort. Oh well, I still love this course, and speaking of S tier, that's the last 5 tracks we will be talking about. 5. Music Park, aka Melody Motorway. I prefer this name to be honest. When you read the name of this course, you know you're gonna have a great time. The whole course is very unique compared to many other tracks I've played. you get to drive on an actual musical instruments, and they make custom sounds as well, which sounds so lovely. But it's not just that, you've got giant piranhas bopping to a song, and my favorite section is towards the end, there are giant music notes that bounce when you have to time properly on beat to trick. This track was always going to be a fan favorite among the community. Also, until I watched Shashrilla's ranking video, I didn't realize the barriers were sheet music, which makes this track even better. Overall, one of the best Nitro tracks in the entire series. 4. GCN Daisy Cruiser. It is so nice to see that we got a proper remake of a great track in the first place. Remember the pool section where you had to go around? Well, now you can drive through there now. The same goes for the cellar under the floor, which they flooded and added clams. That really improves the track that was otherwise a longer route to take. You can see the Miis at the side watching, as if they look like they're trapped. Overall, an amazing remake. 3. DS Waluigi Pinball. I mean, it's an obvious choice for Nintendo to bring back. There are not many changes they made on this track, aside from graphical improvements, and that's all that was needed. It is just as fun as the original, dodging pinballs and trying to find the most optimal route. I can't complain anything about this track. Well, maybe I can nitpick about having a glider during the cannon section. That is the one thing I'm not a fan of in 7 and 8, where they made every track with cannon sections having gliders, since I don't find them necessary and takes the immersiveness off. Either way, this track is a masterpiece. 2. DS Airship Fortress. If you've seen my DS ranking video, you know that I ranked Airship Fortress higher than Waluigi Pinball. Did they take something I don't like? Nope. It is just as ominous, if not even more than the original. The 3D effect on these bullet bills look really good. You probably forgot that was the thing, right? Anyway, all this track needed was being able to trick on multiple things, and that's all this remake needed. I think where you go down the tower is easier to drift, which is nice. There's not a single track that can beat this. Well, except 1. Rainbow Road. Now don't get me wrong, I absolutely love Airship Fortress, but this track is one step above masterpiece. This track is a strong contender for the best Mario Kart track in the entire series. It's as perfect as you can get to a Mario Kart course. I can talk about this course for so long. The beautiful music, the multiple jumps, the unique mushroom trampoline, you can drive on a Saturn-like planet, you get to go through the star rings which are from Super Mario Galaxy, drive on the moon which the low gravity really helps make it even more magical, and finally, you get to go to the spinning tube, hoping to get the gliding panel so you can go through the final section easily, and after that, well, that's it. I know that there's that overpowered shortcut at the end, which was removed in 8 Deluxe, which is unfortunate but understandable. It is a space journey from beginning to end, and it makes great use of elements from Mario Galaxy rather than doing fan service and putting them in the background. Looking at you, Rosalina's Ice World! Even though this track may not seem as difficult as some of the previous Rainbow Roads, the thing I love about this franchise is getting to explore a whole new environment. Yeah, I love the different shortcuts and bugs you can do, but the most important part of Mario Kart to me is the feeling like I'm in that world, and this track exceeded that. In the end, it's the best track in the entire series for me, and it's pretty hard for me to top that. And that is Mario Kart 7. While the game itself is good, the amazing tracks very much carry the game for me. It may seem like the incomplete version of Mario Kart 8, but it's a game worth playing and has definitely changed the mechanics of this franchise. Let me know down in the comments below your favorite track from this game. And finally, I can move on to Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, which finished its booster course pass not long ago, and I'm planning to rank all of them in one video. This will take a long time, so I hope you tune in for it as well. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.